Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Rabi Mahmood and welcome back to lecture number 20 for the course History of English Language. Today we are going to start with a very major change that has taken place in the history of English language, again in the early modern English era. In early modern English era, we're looking at the great vowel shift that has taken place. Great vowel shift was a major thing, a major change that was noticed and that became prominent over that period. Actually, it was a theory, it was a hypothesis that was given about the overall shifts and the changes that have taken place in the vowels, and all these things are more related to the sounds, to the phonology, to the phonology of language rather than any other level of language. So as we discussed in a previous lecture, that phonetics or the phonology, the change in the sound system is the biggest change that can be noticed within the language over different periods of time. So the change in the vowels was regarded, it was given the name of great vowel shift. Let's see that what it was and what were its different features, what were the different changes that have taken place, and what were different reasons that have contributed towards great vowel shift. Actually, firstly, a historical perspective, a historical review of this thing, that how in Roman you see that there is a continuum of the languages that is given in Roman and Celtic language, and then actually these are the different eras that you are looking at the screen. In the Old English period, there was a shift from 0 to 500 almost, and in after Romano-Celtic there is a language, the English language is there, and you see from 500 to 1000 there is a difference between then Old English period to the Middle English period. Middle English period was about 1150 to 1500. Then after 1500 you will see that we have entered into the era of early modern English period, and it was basically a period that was spreaded over a span of 1500 to 1650. And then after that there was a modern English period, and modern English period you see that it is continuous towards the 20th and 21st century later on. There were different languages that were in dominance and that have changed, for example, in different times. Let's look at this, that you see that firstly there is Latin language. Latin language in the modern English period there was a rise in the Latin English period, and then towards the end of the English is over here, and then there is a Norse language, and then there is French language. Actually all these are different languages from which our modern languages have emerged. This was just a background that we have already discussed too much in detail. I'm not going to go into the details of these things, rather we are going to move on the early modern English period that we have already been discussing, and we'll be looking at the great vowel shift. The great vowel shift refers to the 15th century change in pronunciation of long vowels that occurred in England. See where the change was. Actually it refers to the 15th century change in pronunciation. In the 15th century there was a change in the pronunciation of which thing? Of the long vowels. There are different long vowels, so there was a change in the pronunciation of those long vowels that occurred in England, and only the vowels that were pronounced and that were in use in England, there started coming, and a change started coming over there. After the great vowel shift, vowel pronunciation shifted up one place. When this change of great vowel shift was there, and it has already taken place, vowel pronunciation shifted up one place. It shifted up, it moved on to the one level up, just one place means one step above. It shifted. Originally these vowels had continental values, which like those remaining in Italian and liturgical Latin. However, during the great vowel shift, the two highest long vowels became diphthongs. Yes, actually there were different names, there were different terminologies that were used for the vowels. The vowels are, as we discussed earlier when I was telling you about the vowels, there were two or to three kinds of different vowels that were present. One, the single vowels are known as monophthongs. Monophthongs, the word is this one, monophthongs. Whereas the second, when more than one vowel come close to each other and they combine up, they make diphthongs. Diphthongs is this word that is written here. Okay, diphthongs. Diphthongs is a combination of two vowels and they are making one word, one phoneme. Yes, there are some triphthongs as well, that is a combination of the three vowels when they come close. So we are saying that great vowel shift has it is basically concerned with the change in the vowels. Originally these vowels had continental values, much like those remaining in Italian and liturgical Latin. However, during the great vowel shift, the two highest long vowels, the main point is the two highest long vowels became diphthongs, and the other five underwent an increase in the tongue height, with one of them coming to the front. These were the changes, these were the main changes that have taken place for the vowel shift. For example, in the two highest long vowels, the long vowel, I am giving you the example of long vowels are those vowels, for example, that have that pronounce for a little span of time, that are pronounced over a span of time. For example, if there is a vowel that is E, it is, you know, it is taking time, a bit period of time. It is not finishing at quickly, it prolongs for a little period of time. So this is a long vowel, E. Another vowel is U, another is A. These are different long vowels. The vowels, remember that vowels are those phonemes, are those sounds that you say that have these that does not restrict your airflow, where there is no compression of the airflow and it just moves on. Yes, those vowels are known as the vowels are those, we say, those phonemes where there is no restriction in their airflow, and this is known as a simple vowel. And when we talk about long vowel, the long vowel that are pronounced in the same manner, but they continue for a little period of time. E, U, these are different examples of vowels. Let's move on and let's see that what this great vowel shift actually was. The great vowel shift is something of a mystery, and linguists have been unable to account for why it took place. Yes, people have been thinking, people have been wondering that why and how this thing has taken place. It is something like a mystery, and linguists have been unable to account for why it took place, that what was the reason behind this happening. It was first identified and studied by Otto Jespersen. Yes, the first person who identified it and who read it, who carried out a research on it, was Otto Jespersen, a very famous linguist. He was a linguist from Denmark during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Yes, I have already told you that linguist is a person who is expert, who carries out scientific study of language, is a linguist. It was so the great Vowel. This is a person. The picture is given over here of the autogist person, and he was basically a linguist from the Denmark, and he was there in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He was specialized in the grammar of English language. He earned degree in English, French and Latin, and studied linguistics at Oxford, and definitely he was a very expert person in his field. Why did great vowel shift happened? What was the reason for this happening? Some theories attach the cause to the mass migration to the southeast part of the England after the Black Death, where the difference in accents led to certain groups modifying their speech to allow for standard pronunciation of vowel sounds. Yes, some theories attach the cause. There are different theories that have been given to identify the main cause, to identify the main reasons behind this great vowel shift, and they say that mass migration to the southeast part of England after the Black Death. When there was a Black Death, people started migrating from one land to the other, and they started migrating to the southeast part of England, where the difference in accents led to certain groups. Now when they migrated, when they moved, there was a difference in their accents, and it led to certain group modifying their speech to allow for a standard pronunciation of vowel sounds, where the differences in accents definitely when they were moving to the southeast part of the England, it means that there were a few people that who were already residing over there as well. They had their own language, they had their own dialects, they had their own accents, they had their own pronunciations. When some other people are coming, they are being migrated to that place. So what is happening? The difference in the accents led to the certain groups. It led to the certain groups modifying their speech to modify the speech to allow for a standard pronunciation. Actually, they wanted some standard pronunciation to follow at the time of the vowel sounds, of different vowel sounds. Yes, the different dialects and the rise of standardized middle class in London led to changes in pronunciations. Yes, this is what we were talking about. We were talking and we were saying that when different people were migrating, when they were coming close, what happened actually? There is a definite need of the rise of some standardized dialect, and this need of standardized dialect, it led middle class in London to the changes in the pronunciation. They want some standardized dialect, so because of that, just to pursue some standardization, just to come up to some norm or some standard, they wanted changes in the pronunciation. They wanted to have some one standard pronunciation which continued to spread out from that city. And if they said that it at one part, at the one region of the land, one standardized accent would be present, so it would go out of that area as well. It would spread all over the world. Another influence may have been the great political and the social upheavals of the 15th century, which were largely contemporaneous with the great vowel shift. Yes, as we have been looking, we have been noticing that the change in language is not something that is existing in the vacuum, that is found in the air, that is happening just because of something that is superhuman. It was not superhuman. Language is a part of human life. Language is something that exists in the society. if language is existing in the society, so what is happening actually? The great when it is existing in the society, all the incidents, all the movements, all the things that are going on in the society are going to make a difference in the language as well. Another influence may have been the great political and social upheavals of 15th century, which were largely contemporaneous with the great vowel shift, which were contemporaneous, which are going flow in flow with that great vowel shift. Yes, in English, that is, we can say, a combination of like Norse language. Old English was there before 1150, Middle English was there 1150 to 1500, then early modern English 1500 to 1650. There is a big change. There is a divide kind of thing between early modern English and the modern English period, that is shown by a red line. Actually, there were certain, actually, as you have seen, that in Old English period, we are looking at the example of one word. This one word was that we right now call name. It was in Old English period, it was regarded as nama, ma, and then in Middle English it was na, ma, with the one long vowel, and then with the short vowel m, and then name, nerm, it was aim, it became, and then it became name. That is the modern English period, you know, it is regarded these days as name. Then in Old English period, look at the example of house. It was whose, who, oo, with the long vowel oo. Then in the Middle English period, there was a change in the spelling. It has come and it became whose. Okay, a spelling change has come. Then came their vowel, great vowel shift, and we were saying that in the long vowels were changed in the great vowel shift. And we see that, for example, look at the example, this vowel is changed with o, house. It's her, and then o, it's a. This sound is a sound, and this is oo, hook sound, hook, oo, and then s, house. It was after the great vowel shift, it was turned into shorter vowels rather than the long vowel, and it became house. Then came there was later diphthonging. Diphthonging is a combination of the two phonemes, the two phonemes coming together, and then there came house. It's a bit longer than this vowel. It's a and it's a, house. Now it's house rather than house. In the great vowel shift, let's see that what were the changes that have taken place in the Middle English period and in the modern English period. There is a long vowel that was e, it became a. For example, in time and price, I, it became I. There is another word that is e, it was turned into a and then into e. For example, in the word fleece, sweet, clean, etc. Then there was another vowel that was it was changed into this vowel sound. This was e. For example, in clean and fleece, these two have almost the same sound. Then there is a long vowel a, it's a, that is as a name. Then it became a. Instead of a, it was turned into becoming aim, and it look at the example, it's name and face, a. It's not a, it's a. Then there is another long example of the long vowel that is oo, it was turned into the full vowel O as in O, rather than U, it became O, as in stone, as in goat. These are the two examples. The next is in O, this full rounded vowel O, this O was turned into U, for example in moon, for example in goose. Then another vowel that was oo, again a long vowel oo, it became o and how, o, it became o and o as well, o and o, for example in house and in mouth. These were the different shifts that have taken place between 1100 to 1600. In the Middle English period, the long vowels that were there in use from 1100 to 1450, whereas in early modern English period from 1450 to 1600, the long vowels changed their shape, they became less longer, and the examples are given. All the long stressed vowels of a phoneme system were affected when the sound change began shortly after 1400. Yes, we are noticing that the sound change became shortly after 1400 and ended in the 18th century only. Through the term great vowel shift is mainly used to refer to the first major steps in this series of the changes until about 1650, the shift towards the closer positions. Actually, what this picture says, there are some front vowels, there are some back vowels. Look at our mouth position. This is the front part and this is the back part, the front and the back part. The front vowels, there are a few front vowels. Look at this and the front vowels that are given. These are the front. Although the very front vowel is only E, a vowel that comes from a little from the back is E, again it's coming from here, and then again from it's coming from here. The vowels are going back from the front to the back, and then towards the back. Let's see that which vowels are pronounced from the back. Exactly from the back is oo, o, o. One is o, one is oo, means these vowels are coming from the back. After more than 300 years, the systematic result was that long stressed vowels had been raised to the higher closer positions, as this was impossible for the closest vowels that had become diphthongs. Yes. Look, what was the change? After 300 years, a systematic change has already taken place, and the systematic result was that the long stressed vowels, the long and stressed vowels had been raised to the higher position. The long vowels and the stressed, on which we put some stress. For example, E, we're putting stress. For example, in eat, in eat, we have got two things. The one is the vowel and the other is consonant, and it is written, for example, if there is a word that I am speaking, it is eat. E, it starts with the long vowel E and it ends at T, eat. It is a combination of two phonemes. The systematic result was that the long stressed vowels, the long and stressed vowels had been raised to the higher positions. They came to the higher positions, as this was impossible for the closest vowels. They had become diphthong. The vowels that were close, they became diphthongs. They started, the two vowels started combining and they become diphthongs, and the vowels that were long and that were on higher position, they became the stressed vowels and they became longer. The table gives you an abstract and idealized picture of these quality changes. It describes them on the level of the system of the language. When, however, you compare the late medieval and the modern system, you will find that the phoneme inventories are fairly similar, as if nothing had really changed. Look at the table. These are the vowels. Yes, this is actually our system of the vowels of the pronunciation. This is, let's say, that if we say that this is the front part of mouth, we are talking about mouth, we are talking about the internal positions, we are looking at the places of articulation, we are trying to analyze that from where, by using which organs these vowels are pronounced. Front vowels, then comes the back vowels, the above one that will come are, these are open, and then the over here you would find a bit of them are closed. A. Yes, look at the first vowel sound, the one that is at higher position at the front is E, a little inward is A, it's coming from the back, and then I, it's I is a diphthong, it's not coming from the very front, a little from the back, and then O, you would see that it is coming even from the back of that thing, and then ow is again more towards the back, as it is written here, you are coming towards the back, it is coming towards ow, and then the vowel oo, again a back vowel, and the position is very closed one. Then you come O and O, the two positions of O. Yes, look at this, that how these really are. This is an actual the thing that shows the places and the articulation, the places of articulation and the manners of articulation of these vowels. The front vowel is E, the back is oo, and the position that is given is this one. It is quite a close position. E, you have closed mouth. Oo, coming from the back, have closed mouth. You have, then when you come to it, E, a bit far from the front, and it is closed mid, and at the back, towards the back, we have O, again close mid and the back. Then this is what? This is open mid and a little towards the back, and this word, this vowel O, it is towards the back, and it is again O, again an open mid. The last two vowels, as we see, it's open, it's open, it's the front, and then this O again is open and the back. There is one central vowel that is used, that is found in English, is a. It's a. It's actually, it is coming from the center. It is between close mid and the open mid and the front and the back. This vowel is a. Yes. Now look at some of the examples as well that I have written for your convenience. If we are saying this E, the first vowel is E, it is tied, or tid. E is E sound. Then we look at sweet, and this is sweet or sweat. Clean or eat is in. Then is name, then is stone, then is moon, then is house. Yes, this is another dimension of the same words, or with the modern spellings. These were some old spellings that were written, and now some modern spellings. Tide, it's sweet. clean, name, stone, moon, house. Yes, this schwa word, it comes towards the central position between the front and the back vowels. Yes, look at some of the changes that are given, and these are actually a few that we just discussed earlier, that how in Old English period and Middle English and then early modern English period and then the modern English period, how different things have changed. Look at just look at one or two examples. E, A, I. It has now become time. It was E, I. A few more examples. A, it's A, A. Break, as in break. Okay. Now another is oo, ow, and ow, as in house. There are some short vowels as well that are also found. A, it was regarded as a sound in Old English period. Then in Middle English it was a. In early modern English it was a, and then in modern English period it's a, as in sat. Okay. Then again in the Old English period there is another vowel, short vowel is oo. In Middle English it is oo. In early modern English it is oo sound, and it is in modern English period it is rather than oo, it is sound. It's like hut, it's like love. This is the sounds have shifted, the vowels have changed their positions, the vowels have changed their things in the different periods of time. Yes, these are some more examples that, for example, in the Middle English period one vowel is E. In the early modern English period it's I. In predominant English period it is I, and present day example is life, I. It's I. It's E of Middle English period. This vowel of Middle English period, it has changed into I, that is present day English, and it has become life. There is another example is it is actually an sound. In early modern English it was E, and in present day English it is E as in meat. A and E. It is A and this is E as in meat. Then another sound that we see is oo. It was in Middle English. In early modern English it became ow. In present day English it is ow. For example, how. In town has ta, ow, and n, the three phonemes. Town. Okay. Then the Middle English it has oo, early modern English o, and present day modern English it's again o. Example is boat, home, o. Okay. These are some more examples of the great vowel shift that have taken place in that era. While we talk about the great vowel shift, we say that the great English vowel shift is a chain shift. It's a chain that has happened earlier. A chain shift consists of a series of interrelated changes that are motivated by the pressure to restore a symmetrical system of speech sounds. The great vowel shift is a chain shift, that the changes that are happening in the form of the chain. A chain shift consists of a series of interrelated changes. It consists of a shift of series of interrelated. While we are talking about chain, a chain, as you know, it is something that is like this, where one thing is interconnected, is linked with the other element. The second with the third with the fourth, where different elements are interconnected. A chain shift consists of a series of interrelated changes. There are some interrelated changes that are motivated by the pressure to restore a symmetrical system of speech sounds. These changes are motivated by the pressure to restore, where you would try to restore a symmetrical is a smooth, organized system of speech sounds. So we can also say that it is a chain shift because the things were quite smoothly done over gradually done over a period of time, long period of time. Changes of short vowels. In unstressed syllables, a was lost. In Middle English, a became an empty vowel. In early modern English period, u was converted to o unless it was followed by sh, l and t. For example, u, we are saying according to the third rule that u vowel, u, it's the u sound, u, it was converted to o sound, rounded sound. Unless it was followed by the sound. For example, run, mud, it is u. Cut, whereas if it is followed by l sound, it will become full, where there is an entrance of o sound. It's full, it's not completely u, it's a bit rounded o, a full, and pull, and bush, and butcher. Again, it is in this example, in these two example, this u sound is converted into o because it is followed by l sound here. It is also followed by l sound here, whereas in this thing it is followed by sh sound, sh, bush. This is a sh sound, na? Bush. And then in butcher, it is followed by ch sound and When it is followed by different these sounds, it would be converted in the u would convert to o. Okay, the great vowel shifts that have taken place in different ages. These are some more examples. Let's look at example A and B. Istat, istati, shilid, ye, her name is Anne. Okay. These are different examples that are written in different in the Old English periods, that were written in different changes. We are looking at the sound changes, and we are saying that this thing in the great vowel shift, this a sound, it was changed into the empty vowel. E was changed to a, o into u, and e into e. For example, a into a, and u into u, o. Some dialectical differences were also there. There were some advanced differences, and there were some conservative. Actually, what happens, we are saying that this great vowel shift is taking place. It is going on in the language. Okay, fine, it's okay that this shift is taking place in the language and it is going on. Now what is happening actually, it happens that different differences are taking place according to the dialects as well, according to the regional varieties of the languages as well. Because you know, when there are different languages that are going on, that are in use, that are being spoken, what happens actually, these languages, every language has its own specifications, every language has its own characteristics. So we are saying that they change, they are varied. Let's look at our own culture. I am myself being a person whose native language is, I would say, my native language, my mother tongue was, my mother used to speak, that my mother speaks is Punjabi. I myself is an Urdu person, because this was our language of academia, of our schooling. Then English as again our language of education all the time. Then when I started teaching at the university level, I had exposure to Saraiki as well. Then when I moved, then I shifted from one city to the other, I had my exposure to Potawari language, to Hindko. I am like all the time I am coming across to so many languages, to so many accents and so many dialects. And it means that every language, every dialect has some differences. They have got their own priorities, they have got their own characteristics. And when we are saying that the great vowel shift is taking place, some changes are going on in the sounds. So this great vowel shift although is taking place, but some other factors were also influencing it. Some dialectical differences were found, and these were there at its place. This is actually quite an easy picture to follow, where different vowels have been shown, that how they are changing, how this one sound that has changed into this position, how this vowel has changed into this position, and this e vowel has changed into e, and then this oo has changed into oo, and this o has changed into oo. Different one vowel led to the change of some other vowel, the other led to the change in the third vowel. So this was actually, this is it seems a kind of circular process where one thing is affecting the other, or we can also say that it is a spiral process that was continuing over there for a long time. In 1550 to 1650, the main vowel shifts and their examples are given in this slide. And then in 1650 to 1750, you see that there are some other vowel shifts that are shown in the slides with the examples. From 1650 to 1750, again some other vowels and their changes. The main sound changes are this one that have been noticed because of the influence of the great vowel shift, the great English vowel shift. For example, the sound it changed into o into oo. These are the things that we have already discussed. Now I would be telling you that to sum up how it really was, what was this whole shift, this great vowel shift about. A little bit we are going to look into the theoretical perspective of this great vowel shift, and we'll see that how it actually emerged and what are the different causes. We have looked at one aspect before this of great vowel shift, and that aspect was that what were the changes actually that have taken place. Now we are going to look at some theoretical perspective, at some reasons behind this thing, that what are these things that are going to be done now. For example, the simplest description of the great vowel shift is that the 7 tenths, or more commonly long vowels of the Middle English, shifted higher. That is, the tongue was raised somewhat more, with greater closing of the mouth. The vowels that were already raised as far as they could be became diphthongs. Look how beautifully and how simply the things are explained for your understanding. Once again, the great vowel shift is that 7 tenths, or the more commonly known as long vowels. Long vowels, I hope you know, you have now the clear idea about the long vowels, that what were they. The long vowels are those vowels that are long. For example, oo, e, a, these are different long vowels. Long vowels of the Middle English shifted higher. They shifted higher, they shifted above. Yes, they shifted higher and they shifted above. That is, the tongue was raised somewhat more. That is, when they started pronouncing this thing, they started raising their tongue a little more above the simpler positions. Just look at this thing, for example. We are saying that O was shifted into U. Look at the position of the tongue that is right now. O and U. In U, you would notice that the position of your tongue is rising up. O and U. Yes. In E and E, look at these two things. This one and this one. That is there a difference? Please try doing it right now with me and see that whether there is a difference in the pronunciation, whether there is a difference in it or not. Let's try doing it. This is E and E. Firstly, you have some lower position of tongue, then you have some higher position of the tongue. E. Okay, this is what is known as great vowel shift, and we are saying the long vowels of Middle English shifted higher, means they were pronounced with a little tongue rise, with the greater closing of the mouth. The mouth was more closed. E. Those vowels that were already raised, the vowels that were already in the raised position, they became diphthongs. The two vowels combined and they started giving one sound. Using these terms, we see that in the great vowel shift, the high front vowel becomes a diphthong. But we are saying that the great vowel shift, the high front vowel, one that is high and one that is a front vowel that is spoken from the front part of the tongue. The front vowel becomes diphthong. For example, f, which was pronounced feef. It was already the vowel, the word that was pronounced as feef, it became five. Yes, actually, you see, feef is a word that has long vowel. Fee, feef, f, e, and p. Feef, and it became five. Ive. This it was raised higher and it became diphthong. Ive. With the I, diphthong pronunciation in the modern English. This left an open spot in the high front vowel space, into which the vowel that had previously been a mid-front vowel moved. That is, a mid-front vowel became a high front vowel after the high front vowel became a diphthong. Meat, which was pronounced made, it became mead. Firstly, it was pronounced as made, a, later on became mead. E, it converted into E, a long upper front vowel. Now there was an opening for a mid front vowels, and into that slot moved the previous low front vowel. Yes, when different vowels are being moved from one place to the other, so we are saying there was an opening for a mid front vowel. A mid front vowel was open, and into that slot moved the previous low vowel, and into that slot the previous low front vowel, that is break. Try pronouncing break. It has a. It is what? It is the mid front vowel. A, which is pronounced break, became break. Yes, see how the difference is coming. Firstly, it was pronounced as break, a. The front vowel, it is converted into break, a. Diphthong. The two vowels are combining and they are making diphthong in this second example. It is break. Whereas in the first example, break. Here things get a little more complicated as another vowel, this time from the back of the mouth, also jumped into the spot. Now there is another vowel that is jumping in and coming up, and the word that is the sound that we call name, which was pronounced nehem, 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 in the becomes name, nehem, nehem, he, m, and h. The two vowels are coming with one consonant in between, whereas later on it became name, aim, name. Again the diphthong is there. Rather than the two separate vowels, they combined and they became one diphthong, and the word is name. You will note that break and name have the same pronunciation but different spellings. Yes, this is quite easy. We know that both of them, all because they have got the same vowels, they have got same diphthongs in it. The word break, it is b, r, a, k, b, r, a, k. Let's see that how we can write it in the phonetic language. This is b, r, a, k. It becomes break. Okay, these are the symbols, these are the sound symbols that I have written. I have not written the spellings. And look how the word name is written in phonetic transcription. N, a, name. Firstly comes n consonant, then comes a, and then comes m. Name. It makes name. You see that how many, and in these two they are pronounced in the same way because they have got the same vowels, the same diphthongs. Diphthongs, the two vowels, they have got the same diphthongs in their phonetic transcription, in their phonetic. Actually, when we write using the symbols of the sounds, we say that this is a phonetic transcription. Phonetic transcription. A similar shuffle happened in the back of the mouth. It was all about the front. That one is rising higher, the other vowel is coming forward and taking its place. The third is coming that place, and the ones who are left, they are becoming diphthongs. Now let's see that what was happening towards the back of the mouth. The high back vowel in the Middle English, mus, was pronounced moose, but meaning mouse. This was pronounced as moose, oo is a back vowel. It was pronounced as moose, but it means mouse. It became a diphthong, giving us a modern English word. It became mouse, mouse. When we look at mouse, we say m, ow. It's a and then oo. It's mouse. It's mouse. It's ow. It's ow. The two vowels are coming together and they are making it a diphthong, mouse. Into that open high back vowel slot, move the sound that had been a mid back vowel, root, pronounced root, rout. Yes, there was when the place became empty and that has turned into a diphthong, actually some other vowels slipped on and took the place of that vowel. Look at the example of this word rout. Firstly, it was pronounced as rout, row, ra, o, row, o, rout. It became root. The two different vowels are combining, they made up diphthong and it became root. Instead of that diphthong, now it was converted into the long vowel, root, root. That in turn left an opening for a mid-back vowel into which the previous low-back vowel moved. Now instead of that, another vowel came up and took the place. And for example, goot, which was in English was pronounced as gout. The word, while we look at the spellings, we call it goot. While we look at the pronunciation, we call it gout, gout. Same in the sense of route, row, o and t, o and t with is the one consonant. O, the word o is changed into gout, into gout. It has become o. Yes, as you can see, this is a very thoroughgoing shift that has taken place, but it is only applicable to the long vowels. Most of the time the shift was applicable only to the long vowels. The short vowels did not change very much at all, and since short vowels are unstressed vowels, you can see why our talk of changing stress patterns and the elimination of inflection suffixes was so important. Word elements that were not stressed did not undergo vowel changes. Yes, one thing to remember in the overall discussion was that the main focus or the main emphasis in our talk was on it was more about the long vowels rather than the short ones, because the long vowels, why the emphasis was on the long vowels rather than the short vowels, because the reason is that the long vowels are stressed and the short vowels are not stressed. When the words are more stressed, definitely there are the words that are stressed. When they are stressed, so it means that they can change place, they can have some different change statuses. But when we talk about the short vowels, we see that these short vowels cannot undergo any change. Why? Because they are not stressed, they are unstressed, they are pronounced without an ease, they pronounce and thus they just quickly go and vanish. So the main emphasis of the great vowel shift, it was on the stressed long vowels. Stressed, first condition, second long, and the third vowels. It was about stressed and the long and the vowels, rather than unstressed, rather than the short and vowels, or rather than the short unstressed consonants. It was a focus about overall about that thing, vowels. Now let's see that what was relation between great vowel shift and the Grimm's law. Grimm's law, we already had a little idea about Grimm's law, but I'll be repeating it quickly so that you can create a link between great vowel shift and Grimm's law. It is useful at this point to compare the great vowel shift with the Grimm's law, which we discussed in such detail in lecture 5. Remember that Grimm's law described the changes in the consonants in the evolutionary split between Indo-European and Germanic. What was Grimm's law? I am just repeating that it described the changes in consonants in the evolutionary split between Indo-European and Germanic languages. It was basically about the language trees, and it has looked at the evolutionary changes at the evolutionary process that has taken place. When the first part of the shift occurred, the voiceless stops became voiceless fricatives. According to Grimm's law, when there was a shift that was going on, the first thing that has occurred in that was that voiceless stops, the stops that were voiceless, they became voiceless fricatives. Fricatives are those sounds when they are produced, they have some friction in the airflow. For example, f, v, s, z. These are different fricative sounds. When they are pronounced, they have a bit of airflow, friction of the airflow. And voiceless stops and voiceless where there is no voiceless are those sounds where there is no vibration in the vocal cords. If there is a vibration in the vocal cord, we'll say that these are what these are voiced consonants or the voiced stops. Voiceless stops kind of glottal stop, the words that are pronounced from here, the sounds that are pronounced from the glottis, from the upper glottis. For example, it's the bo'al, as if it is a stop. It's a voiceless, it's a glottal stop. Okay, the voiceless stops, they became voiceless fricatives. The language would have been left with no voiceless stops, but that gap was filled by the voiced stops becoming voiceless. That left another gap, since there would be no voiced stops, but that gap was filled by the aspirated voiced stops becoming unaspirated voiced stops. Yes, what was happening? Actually, there was a shift that was going on. On one hand, if we are talking about the great vowel shift, one vowel is taking the place of the other. If one is shifting up, the other is coming and taking that place, and the third one is coming to take that place. Same was the case in the Grimm's law, where if some voiceless sounds are become voiced, so that place, that vacuum is covered by some other stops, and so it was a spiral process that was going on, and we were moving forward and we were coming back. There is a significant cascade of sound changes all related to one another across many words. The same is true of the great vowel shift. Linguists have been arguing for nearly a century about whether the shift happened in the front of the mouth and the back of the mouth separately or at the same time, and whether the shuffle occurred via pushing or pulling. Look, what are the questions? What are the thoughts of the day? What are the things that you have to think about, that the critics of that time also think? Yes, actually the thing is that they were arguing for nearly a century about whether the shift happened in the front of the mouth or the back of the mouth. What was the place where this shift was taking place? Was it done separately or at the same time? Was it done as a separate thing or at the same time? Where the shuffle occurred, what was the place where this shuffle was occurring, and what was the reasons, what was the manner of this shift? Was it pushing or was it a pulling? They were pushing. I was saying that one is moving on and the other is taking its place. Is it a pushing or is it a pulling? What is it? So these are different theories. Some theorize, for example, that the high vowels becoming diphthongs opened up gaps that pulled all the other vowels along. So the first theory is about pulling the things, where one was pulling the other. Other argue that the first changes happened at the bottom with new vowels, thus pushing the other vowels up, and in the case of vowels that were already high vowels into diphthongs. Yes, one is arguing that the shift is occurring because it is a pushing. The other is saying that the other group of people is saying that it's pulling. The movement of the one type of low back vowel to a mid-front vowel is taken as supporting evidences by both the sides. Now a little light on that why these vowels were shifted. Actually it was really very controversial, that what was the reason behind that, and some of the concepts are really very misleading, and indeed the shift occurred at lightning speed for linguistic event. It usually dated from 1500 to 1600 and traditionally has been as occurring mostly from 1500 to 1550. Yes, actually there are different times that have been given, there are different frameworks that have been said, there are different theories that have talked about that why and when this vowel shift actually has taken place. The traditional view, which has not been overturned so much as questioned, was that the shift occurred over the course of a generation. They said, okay, over the course of our generations, mean there was just one generation when this course has occurred, when this shift has occurred. A few of the proposed theories, let's see quickly. At the time of the shift, a major demographic change was affecting England. There was mass immigration from the north to the south of England, as we have talked about that after the Black Death, people were migrating from one place to the other place and they started living. Although the plague had spread more rapidly in the cities and the towns, these began to grow rapidly in size while many villages were completely abandoned. Linguists theorize that sudden arrival in the south of many individuals with the northern accent, so the arrival of many rural developers in the urban areas, triggered somehow a major pronunciation change. People are coming, people are making change, people are introducing their own languages. So these caravans, when they were coming, they actually started making changing, and this was the basic the major cause, according to a few people, that triggered, that pushed the initiation of great vowel shift. Another theory, it's about the rise of the middle class in the London, and they acquired the creation of a common dialect. Actually, we have looked at the process of standardization, and we are saying that it was about the creation of a common dialect, a common language to speak and to share, because there was continual growth in the importance of the trading and commerce from the end of the 14th century to the 16th century. People needed to be able to communicate more clearly. So one thing was needed as a standardized thing so that they can understand. So this was another theory, that perhaps the process of standardization helped in the great vowel shift. Then this a new kind of English pronunciation evolved at the time, because people were needing it. So a new kind of pronunciation, it was evolved, it came into being, and people started realizing it. That would split the differences between various dialects in England, with the London dialect spoken by the Chaucer among many other eventually winning out, but adopting many of pronunciations of the other dialects. Yes, there are some other theories as well. Others people would argue that it was not so much immigration but social mobility that has changed the language. It was not the immigration. People, although the people were migrated, people were coming, people were going on, the people were trading, people were having some social interactions, everything. They said that it was the more important thing is that of social mobility, where they were having social interactions. This thing was a great thing that has caused the start of great vowel shift. Yes, another related possibility is to interpret the shift as a form of hyper correction, an attempt to seem more English at a time when England was at war on and off with the French. Yes, another theory says that it was the main reason was not some other things, but it was hyper correction, and it was an attempt to seem more English at a time when England was at war on and off. This war, they actually started using sounds that were new vowel systems, and they would do they started introducing some new vowels, and they said that okay, it would be enough to communicate the things. Yes, then there is a critique about this hypothesis. Then some scholars argue that the arrival of the printing press at the end of the 15th century, it worked to lock in a particular pronunciation that most familiar to the printers in the London and that disseminated throughout the England. Yes, printers were introduced, the things were locked, the dialects were locked, the pronunciations were locked, and then they were spreaded. But I myself think about this great vowel shift is that it was caused not by one large change but by the harmonious convergence of many small changes. So true, because I think that all these things have different things were converging, they were harmoniously converging to bring one change. Minor shifts in the pronunciation occur all the time. One generation will pronounce a word with one accent or one stress pattern, and another to mark itself as a separately pronounce things differently. As we see, I myself pronounce some words in a different way, and the people who are younger to me, the younger generation has started pronouncing the things, although the same words, in some other way. So this is perhaps a generation would come very soon, after a century or 2 centuries, where perhaps our words will not exist. It will keep changing. There are also the processes that retard change. People can rather aggressively police the boundaries of acceptable speech when it is an important part of their identities. Social rank is also associated with the certain kinds of speech. Definitely there are some speeches that we think are really prestigious, that are that creates your hype, that are more respectable, and we would want to use those languages instead of the rest of the languages. Yes, and once the change got going, the cascade effect was enough to create the great vowel shift. So this is our we are going to end today's lecture here, and just to give you a quick recap of what we have done today. Today actually we have looked at in detail that what was the great vowel shift, because this was a major event of early modern English period. It has created a lot of changes in the English itself. We have looked at not only the great vowel shift, but we have also compared and contrasted different pronunciations, different vowels of different eras, with the modern English period, with the Old English period, with the Middle English period. We have had a great comparison today, and we came to realize, yes, that there has been a great shift. Then towards the end, we have also looked at different causes, at some theoretical perspective, that what were the reasons that has evolved, what were the factors behind it. There were different theories that were given to say that the great vowel shift it was caused because of this thing or that thing, but eventually we come to the conclusion that yes, it is actually done gradually. It was not overnight. It was done according to in different centuries, by different because of different reasons. So we'll end it up today with this here, and with this I hope that you have enjoyed this lecture today, and keep watching and keep studying, keep reading the things in detail till the next lecture, and I hope to see you again in the next lecture, and a very great warm winter, and take a very good care of yourself, and till then, Allah Hafiz.